Record. Is it recording? Yeah, there we go. Welcome back to the Labrador Energy Podcast, guys. Still from the quarantine, directly from my home, and we got a returnee. The second returnee on the podcast. The first one was Vidura. I spoke to him a couple of days back, but he's the first returnee on camera. We got Foster, and I don't know if you guys remember Foster from the last episode. Foster owns and runs the Wall Comedy Club in Berlin here, and we did the podcast right before it opened. And now this is like what, 3 months in, 4 months in after it had opened.
Yeah, so this would be about 4 months in right after we opened. Our first show was January 3rd, and then we had that, but we only had like a test show once a week or so. And then on January 17th was when we were fully on. And we've been closed now for about a month. We closed a few days before the official quarantine started just to be safe. And yeah, and we're looking forward to getting back open. There's a few changes that we're making right now.
Okay,
in terms of making. What's up?
So let's look at let's kind of like do a bit of review. How's the first couple of months been? I mean, I personally have an idea because I've done a couple of shows there. Successful shows, worked out pretty well, sold out. But just wanted to kind of, this is your first time running a club, a bar. What's the first week like?
No, it was much better. It was looking like if we didn't have the coronavirus, it was very probable that we would not lose money last month, which for my first bar opening it on like the second full month, that was much better than I thought. And so really I was literally the week of when the coronavirus hit, I was meeting with all the hosts trying to find out things we could do before the show that are comedy related to get people involved. And I think we have something for Monday that's worked out in theory. At least Tuesday, we have something that's worked out in theory as well. Wednesday, we have something that's already worked out. Thursday, we have a few ideas. And then Friday and Saturday, we're looking at just adding additional shows for people right after work. And then Saturday, maybe doing 2 or 3 shows a night. But we needed to fix the noise issues first before we did a lot of these things later on. And so that's what we're doing right now.
Okay,
so we're still working on it.
In terms of the logistics, basically the first month was a lot of testing and figuring out what works and what doesn't in terms of sound, yeah?
In terms of sound, in terms of how things worked, in terms of what we needed, what kind of drinks people wanted, in terms of setup, like what the best room setup is, in terms of like how we run the shows and like what time it's best to get people in for the shows, when people show up, and how crowded it gets, like on what time of day, so we can figure out what to do before the show. Because there's some shows that people show up, like your shows, people would show up at 7:30.
Yeah.
And on our Friday shows, people would generally show up at 8:30.
Right.
And so on Fridays, we should do something before that at 7:30 and have just like an additional show at 7 or something like that. For your show, we shouldn't do that. We should do that at like 6.
Yeah, just planning out what was the biggest challenge so far from this past couple of months? You've started off, you've done it, you've opened it, you've passed the administration. Once it was kind of on and operational, what do you think was the biggest challenge so far?
I think just the amount of time that it required to like be there for me and to like learn about it, because there's so many small things that you don't even think about. And I can't even think about now, just in terms of, every step of the way takes 10 times longer than it should. So I'll be promised by a supplier that I'll get something on a certain day. Then I'll have to have 4 more conversations with them before that actually gets done. And then they'll send me something to sign, and then they'll come a week later. And so it takes 3 weeks to get something done that I'm expecting gets done in 2 days.
Right. So this is
the beer taps being installed, for example, they said it would take 2 weeks to do, but it was 2 weeks for like the whole process to start, not 2 weeks to do.
Right.
So that was the issue.
So just the relatively unreliability of the contractors, you reckon, has kind of been a bit of a drag.
Well, it's just, I assumed that it would be done right away. Like I assumed that, once we had a verbal agreement that it would be done and then I would just pay for it and that's it. And it wasn't that. It was, now we start the formal agreements. And so it was much more of that. It was much more in detail than I was expecting.
Okay.
Because what I used to do, like in West Texas, you can see a picture of West Texas there.
Right.
It was very much hey, everything's done and we get everything done that day.
Okay. It's much more on the spot. So basically, with regards to like the actual shows, I mean, I've seen the place packed. How many people was it the most packed with, you reckon?
Ooh, I think probably one of our Thursday shows with Tyrone, or one of his Saturday shows. We had over 75 people there easily. We get closer to 90, I would say. We have a total of 84 chairs.
Okay.
And we needed more chairs.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, because I was quite surprised, like how, I've actually put up, I don't know if I've sent it to you already, I've put up a couple of videos on my YouTube with me performing there. One of the, I think it's lit. And one of the videos has about like 8,500 views now, and it says The Wall there. And I was surprised to see how good, how well the laughter kind of got recorded on camera. It seems like that room actually does can feel maybe a bit rough at the start if there's not enough energy in the room. But once you kind of get a comedian that puts energy in the room, the laughter is very, very strong, right? And you can
Right.
see from the stuff that I've recorded, it's like people really seem like they're feeding off each other's laughter. So I think it's quite conducive for that. And we managed to get a couple of good shots as well from the back. So it's so far so good, right?
Yeah, no, I'm happy with the vibe that the club has because some clubs they don't really have that vibe of everyone's there to laugh for like a reason there. But I love the wall. Like I love both. We have a couple different setups, as you know. We have like the tables and chairs in the front, and then we have the rows as well. And I like how that works out, especially because on our Monday and Tuesday shows, where we're not trying to get 100 people there, we're trying to get like 40 or 50 people there.
Right.
And it's just a much more cozy vibe. It's just a much more relaxed vibe.
Right.
And it feels more like a New York comedy club.
Yeah, which is, I think that's one of the goals, right? To keep more of that global kind of New York / international type of vibe, right?
Right.
What else do I want to ask you? Like, so for example, how bad does the whole Corona situation affect you at the moment? Because obviously comedians were kind of taking a massive hit because we were running out. We were not doing shows. We're not doing stage time. But from a bar perspective, like, do you get any help from the government, or how's that look in terms of the business aspect of it?
So yet again, when I was early, I was showing you I have a light source coming from my left. That's my computer where I'm still waiting in line in terms of getting money from the government. I've had there's another one that I applied for yesterday as well. I was supposed to apply for a lot of them last week, but last week the first week when we had this when we had the quarantine, I basically said, okay, there's a lot of problems with the venue. Let's try to figure them out so that when we reopen, I was assuming that we're reopening in like 2 weeks from now. They'll all be done. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to cancel any shows. Everyone's happy. So I did that, and then I needed just some time off. And so I missed the first day where you could do it. And so now I'm waiting in line for the government assistance. That should be today. We'll see. I don't know.
But just for people that don't know to kind of understand, what's the level of government assistance that they're offering? Because, for example, for me as a personal freelancer, basically I actually applied and got the 5,000 euro grant.
I assume it's going to be about 5,000 because I only have 3 employees.
I think you can, if you have business costs like rent and salaries, I think you can apply up to 15,000. If I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to ask for as much as they'll give me. I don't know. That's what I have to wait and see. Because I have 3 employees plus rent. If they give me, I'm going to try to get as much as possible, and then I'm going to try and share that with the comedians and the employees as well. So I'm not going to just kind of afford it.
Right. So the way that I kind of looked at it, it was 5,000 if you're registered as a freelancer and you lost the business. But then if you run a business, I think you can ask for up to 15,000 to cover expenses. So for example, that's rent, electricity, other type of insurance for the bar, whatever. So you might want to just look into that, because I think which again, how amazing is it that, Berlin has moved so fast and Germany has moved so fast in actually providing this type of assistance for, people that work within the arts and bars and such, right?
Yeah, because you've already got it, right?
Yeah, man, it was insane. Like, this is the craziest thing.
Applied for it and received it, right?
Dude, I applied for it at 10 a.m. in the morning. That's when my entire place in the queue came, and I got it at 7 p.m. in the evening on the same day.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, I've been in the queue for the last, I would say, few days, and I have to check it every so often. Like, they don't do it really on the weekends, and they don't do it in the evening. I think they do it like in business hours, basically.
So I think what happened was basically they actually put it on they put it on hold for a couple of days, because then they integrated with the federal health program that they have from the actual I think from the federal level.
That was the problem. The day I applied was the day they put it on hold, so I had to reapply yesterday.
Okay, gotcha. And then in terms of like you said you were kind of facing a couple of other issues on the physical side. So you figured out the taps, you figured out so the sound now, because there were some issues. I remember you were talking to me about the neighbors are complaining about some of the levels of sound, right? Which, first of all, if the laughter is so loud that the neighbors can hear it, it's probably some good comedy going on, yeah.
Yeah, no, they said the only thing they can't hear anyone like when we're just a regular bar after the shows are over. They can only hear when when like Ori's yelling really loudly through the microphone, and when there's a ton of laughter, which is a good problem to have.
Okay.
And so we found all the problem areas, and we are covering them up basically with soundproof material and a new soundproof ceiling.
So you have to put in a new ceiling. Are you able to put that in now during the Corona times, or does that have to be postponed to later?
That is being put down literally right now.
Okay,
so
perfect.
It's taking 2 to 3 weeks to do as opposed to 1 week, because only one person is allowed to work at one time. So it's just one guy doing all of it. And so we're doing that. I had to approve of a new door for the green room.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no longer the double doors. People who haven't. I mean, it's something that only the comedians really see.
Right.
And then what else? And then fill in that there's a hole as well. Basically, I would like to have a room for the comedians where if you want to just hang out during the show,
Mm-hmm.
you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's being taken care of now as well.
Okay.
And the last thing that will be an issue that we won't be able to do for another probably 2 months
Mm-hmm.
is a door for out in the hallway. That's a soundproof door so that it doesn't escape through the hallway. And that once that's done, we'll be able to start doing things later during the day.
Okay, I see what you're saying. The one
Later
that kind of connects to the building, right?
Right.
Right. Okay.
And so right now we're taking care of everything for the upstairs neighbors in the back because they're the only ones that have ever complained. And so we're doing everything we can to make sure that they're not complaining.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we're just trying to make it so that, because the goal is to be open till, 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. But if we're waking up neighbors, that's not good for anyone.
Right. Okay. So then in that situation where you kind of have this vision of opening it up till 2 or 3 a.m., would that still require like people performing on stage, or is it just going to be standard bar?
No, because we can be a standard bar right now, but I would like to always have something there because there's so many bars in Friedrichshain that I would like to have something different. And so before the show, and so I would like to be, entertainment. Like the goal is to have karaoke there after the shows.
Okay, so that's after midnight?
And that would be after midnight, starting around midnight. So shows are into around 11, but we can kind of give it leeway from 11 to 11:30 or so.
Right.
Then there'd be a little bit of break. We'd reorganize the room and then have karaoke from like midnight to 3.
Okay.
Until we get the noise figured out, we can't do that. So.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I think karaoke is going to work out well. I think, but if you do karaoke, it does have to be very, very, properly kind of like isolated. Isolated, is that what it is? Soundproofing?
Yeah, isolated. I think it all works. I think everyone knows what we're talking about. Yeah, and that's. I mean, we're not gonna have all the speakers plugged in. We're gonna turn them down a little bit because no one cares that much.
Okay.
But yet again, the idea is
so
because they need to be turned up louder for the comedy.
Right. I was gonna say, so in terms of so it's been running for about 3 months. Running out, basically ironing out the kinks, figuring out the advertisements, figuring out the stuff. What in terms of what do you call it? In terms of just like organic interest, have you had a lot of comedians reaching out from outside of Berlin trying to do shows or anything of the sorts? Has the word been spreading?
We've had a few. Word has definitely been spreading. We started getting more of a cult following within Berlin, so we're more of like a word of mouth. We've definitely regulars there that are there at least once or twice a week, which I'm happy that we have so many different shows to put on so that people can come back time after time and not be getting the exact same thing, which I think is very good for local people. But we've gotten maybe right before the coronavirus hit, I was emailed by a reporter asking if they could do a special for a German comedian.
Okay.
That weekend, and I was like, I would love to. We have to shut down, but if you want to do it, it's just him. Then yeah, but there's not going to be an audience there, and we can't do a TV show for you with an audience like right now. And they haven't gotten back to me since because clearly I think everything's shut down on their front as well. But it's getting there. I mean, for as young as we are, I would say the outreach is bigger than I was expecting.
Right.
There's a lot that we still need to do, and and that was one of the issues as well. Is I didn't realize how much time it would take for me to actually run the club without having to do media stuff as well. So I'm working on doing that starting in May, having someone full time do that as well.
Right. Okay. And then let's see how the situation. Hopefully, we can go back to kind of normal in May. Hopefully. But that kind of puts us in a situation where we're going to the summer season. So I was actually talking to a couple other comedians as well, like how would that affect actually? So a lot of people basically were of the opinion that I think, realistically, I think people are really going to throw caution into the wind and they're going to start, basically plowing into the bars as fast as possible. So we'll see exactly how that works out in terms of summer. I hope it's going to, basically result into a lot more shows for us. But I think we have to kind of play safe and wait and see. With regards to how it kind of comes up. But with regards to, let's kind of go over some of the shows that we have so far run out. Maybe you can kind of explain what the shows are. People that, listen to the podcast and haven't been to the bar, maybe they kind of want to pick some favorites or maybe like figure out what night they want to come on. So Mondays, you've got the show run by Lena, yeah?
Lena, yeah, Comedy Therapy.
Right, okay.
It is... Okay, yeah, no, basically it's a stand-up night where you'll get 4 comedians and they'll all do about 5 to 7 minutes of comedy. And then afterwards, so the audience will write down all of their problems that they are ever facing. So it's usually about neighbors and about, boyfriend, girlfriend, something like that, relationships. And the idea is that we will solve your problems.
Right.
Comedians will solve your problems. Now, usually the solution involves smoking more weed.
Right. Okay. That is sounds like the
but
solution. Okay. And
it
it has a
depends
little
on who you
bit
are.
has a little bit of audience interaction as well going on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's a really. I mean, you expect to talk to some of the hosts occasionally. They'll ask questions like who wrote this question. You don't have to answer, of course. It's all
Mhm.
anonymous. But
Okay.
whenever I write a question, they always call me out on it, basically.
Right. Okay. Okay. So then Tuesdays we have, what was it? Comedy roulette, if I'm not mistaken.
Comedy roulette, and this one's real fun. There's a lot of prizes involved with it.
Right.
Basically, you have a giant roulette wheel or giant like spinning wheel,
Hmm.
and there's prizes and comedians on it, and it'll either land on a comedian's name or prize. And if you spin it and you win the prize, like one of the prizes that always somehow gets picked first is free shots for the bar.
Oh, okay. 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 Interesting. So you basically are giving out a couple of free shots. How many free shots do you offer for this? Is it for
Just
people?
one free
One. Okay.
shot, and I don't even do those. We have like some Berliner Luft that we'll offer for the bar,
Hmm.
and but then we'll offer free drinks as well. So occasionally,
Right. And
they'll
this is
offer 1
run
or 2 for drinks.
this particular show is run by Gino and Kat. Yeah.
Yeah, Gino and Cat. They're good
Okay.
together as well, and there's one that's always slap Gino. So if you
Slap
win the
Gino.
prize, you
Okay.
get to slap Gino.
You know,
And
I've
I'm
actually,
terrified.
I've actually saw one of the audience members like seriously hit him in the face. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. As the bar owner, I'm like terrified, but they want to do it. So I'm like, hey, you know what? Okay,
Just
that's fair.
punish Gino. Yeah, it's an interesting format. I think again, it's kind of the kind of format where you have that right amount of audience interactions. Because from what I noticed, like the audience here do like it when you interact with them, um,
Yeah,
or you give them the opportunity to kind of become part of the show. I recently did. Anna's running a new show at another place. I think he basically it's kind of like a heckler's night, right?
yeah.
So again, like the audience gets the chance to heckle the comedian during their sets. That was particularly interesting as well because the audience just wants to jump in, even if it's not like a malicious heckling, but it's just kind of jumping in and being part of the show. So it seems like
Mhm.
comedy roulette with that aspect of giving people the opportunity to kind of also win prizes seems like really something that people would come in and
Mhm.
basically have a great time with that, right?
Yeah, no, it's a fun show. It's a really fun show.
And
Because
would
we
it
didn't know
be
what to do with Tuesdays for a while, but Gino ran, yeah, originally just a freedom comedy with
Mhm.
Vidura, and then Vidura, of course, is trying to go to London pretty soon,
Right, right?
and so Kat took over, and they changed the whole formula of the show, and I really like how it is.
And it's getting people in, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a packed show, and Wednesdays are becoming more packed as well. The Wednesdays are heavy hitters with Daniel Gutierrez.
Okay, okay, Daniel. Okay, so that's more of a showcase kind of show.
This is a showcase kind of show with you'll get 2 to 3 comedians in
Hmm.
either two half hours or uh, 2 20 minutes and one 40 minutes or something like that. It's longer sets with people who know what they're doing.
Okay, okay, perfect. And then in terms of like the audience as well, have you seen like any form of I don't know, age difference from different nights, or have you seen like has a particular show appealed to a particular type of audience? Have you seen any patterns so far? I know it's only been running about two months and a half, but curious to see if you've seen any type of patterns.
Not too much yet. I would say it's weird. It depends. I would say Mondays and Tuesdays get more women involved, but I think that's because we have women hosts.
Mondays and
Um,
Tuesdays, okay.
and then Thursdays as well. The crazy stupid Berlin where you post your relationship problems and
Mhm.
questions as well, and that gets a lot of women as well. But
Mhm.
other than that, but like I would say, the rest of the nights are probably slightly more men than women.
Okay, okay.
But I think a lot of that's due to kind of the relationship nature and the fact that we have women hosts on the Mondays and Tuesdays.
Okay, okay. So that's very interesting. So it seems like it's interesting to point out that perhaps women in audience want to see women host shows. So like that it's that particular support element happening then.
I think so. I have no idea,
Or
but
maybe it's a bit early to kind of tell, but it's interesting to have that kind of like early level idea of what the interest is. Okay, and then we have moving on to Thursdays. Thursdays we got is it Tyrone and Daniel? Yeah.
Tyrone and Daniel, crazy stupid Berlin, and they
Hmm.
run. And that's usually our most packed night of the
Hmm.
show. When we had the coronavirus, it was looking like we were going to get 80 people there
Hmm.
before the quarantine took an advance, and I didn't feel comfortable getting that many people in there when everything's shutting down.
Right,
And
right,
you
right.
hear about clubs going, that and that was a tough decision. But at the same time, I thought that hopefully,
Hmm.
you know, if it's helpful, it's good.
Right.
So
So
we'll see.
the Crazy Stupid Berlin, for those that don't know, the format is maybe give us a bit of detail on the format.
Yeah, so it's a stand-up night, and then at the end of it, Daniel and Tyrone will answer your relationship problems,
Okay, so a lot of
or relationship comments as well. And they that part of the show, like we were thinking before, because that's a very loud show because it's a very high energy show. It's probably our highest energy show by
right, right,
far.
right, right, right.
I would say, not even close. And like we were looking at just separating those two sides out, where it's a stand-up night of the first half, and then answering the questions of the second half. Just because because that's such a great. It's just seeing them improv on it
Mm-hmm.
while still doing stand-up is one of the best parts. Like
Okay. So then you mentioned that's
doing the job.
also more female skewed in terms of audience. Seems like
I think so. See, in terms of age, I haven't really know the difference. I haven't really looked. And then in terms of male, female, you can kind of see the difference just to see kind of what audiences are being attracted.
okay, okay, cool. So I mean, yeah,
So
Daniel Tyrone,
it's easier to know.
right? But Daniel Tyrone have been doing a great job, so I'm happy to hear that show is going great. Then we got, so this is, we already got like almost 4 shows, 4 nights on Sundays. Sorry, Fridays. It's Zach, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's Adorable Creatures
Hmm.
with Zach. And I'm always in a Hawaiian shirt for that if I'm performing or not. So
Okay, okay. So
I just
that's
think
been
people should be aware that every Friday you'll know it's a Friday. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
there you go, there you go. And that's basically been a long-term running show. It's been running for like 5 years, and now the new home is at the Wall. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's the longest running show in Berlin. It's now at the Wall. I think it's been running for about 7 years
Okay.
with different hosts, of course. I think Zach's only been running for 5 or 6.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but it was run by Ian before then, not Ian from Scotland, and
Right.
Zach, a couple other people I think had
So
an input as well.
they've been playing around with the format for that as well, because I think last time I was there, Carl was on stage, and I think the point was to get him drunk or something of the sorts.
Yeah, well, that was when Zach wasn't drinking,
Okay.
and he wanted to play his drinks. So the hosts always get free drinks
Hmm.
for anyone listening who's not aware.
Hmm.
So the comedians and hosts all get free drinks just for going on the show,
Hmm.
and the host gets a couple more because they're up there for the whole show.
Okay.
And Zach wasn't drinking, and he wanted to give away his free drinks. So he thought it'd be fun if we put someone on stage just to sit there and get drunk in front of the audience on
Right.
their free drinks.
Right. Right.
And sometimes they would do a set at the end of it. I think it was David Adams did a set afterwards. I don't know if Carl did one as well.
Okay.
We're not now. He's drinking again, so we don't do that.
Right. Okay. Okay. But that's again, it's like interesting to kind of point out that each show has like a little bit of a different aspect as opposed to like the traditional open mics. They have like a little bit of a, not necessarily a little bit of a tag, a little bit of a not gimmick, but like a little bit of a special flavor element. Um, so then, for Fridays are traditionally like quite busy nights. Have you guys ever considered moving Fridays to like a paid evening, or is it just still experimenting with it now?
I have. I have our crowd size. We need to get our awareness up though.
Okay,
We
so
need
then
to get more people to know about it, and that's one thing about in terms of hiring someone to do that full time
right,
is geared towards doing is the more people who find out about it, the more popular it can be because we have a bunch of great shows. We've never had any bad. I think we have a 4.9 rating on Google. We haven't even asked for Google ratings.
right.
In my opinion,
Okay,
there's still so much to do.
yeah, man. Like I
And
said, very happy to see the positive kind of response to it. And obviously, I'm looking forward to getting more and more of that. Then Saturdays we've kind of done. That's basically the night of the week where it's kind of like shows are kind of circulating throughout the month, right?
Right. So Saturdays we have Tyrone and Daniel run 2 Saturdays. You
Hmm.
and Chris run one Saturday.
Hmm.
And then we have Shameless Comedy with Liliana and
Hmm.
Shani who run a Saturday. And
Okay,
occasionally there's a fifth Saturday and Oliver takes over for that one.
right. Okay, and have
And
you done?
we have yet to have a mediocre Saturday.
Right, and
We've had
all
nothing but
these are
great
paid
Saturdays.
shows, or some of them? Because I know like the one that we do, the Culture Shock, is usually a paid show, and for paid show, those did really well because like usually I think for those we charge like 8, 10, and 12, if I'm not mistaken, or 15 at the door for some of them. So, but they went really well. I mean, last time we did Culture Shock there, when I was there, it was sold out. When we did the European comedy evening, and then I wasn't in town for it, but I understand that the American one did pretty well as well.
Right. Yeah, no. The New York Comedy Night with Oliver did well as well, and Shameless Comedy's done well every time as well. The only one that's not paid right now is Daniel and Tyrone's, and we're looking at moving that into a paid show.
Right.
Issues were everything was going well. We were in talks to move that to a ticketed show. and have see what the wall could do to help marketing as well and things like that.
Hmm.
And then we had some noise issues with one of the neighbors, and that kind of took precedence. We had to figure out what to do with that, so we didn't want to change any shows until that was taken care of.
Right.
Right now, of course, with the we're taking care of that right now,
Right.
while we're quarantined. Um, when we reopen, we'll have those discussions again, but we got to figure out how things are working, got to figure out
Mhm.
crowd sizes, things like that. It's almost like starting over, but we know a bit more than we did before
Right.
we opened the first
Right.
time.
Because I mean, for example, for those that don't know, the culture shock evening that we do is basically we just try to do a. It's kind of like a headliner. It's kind of like a showcase evening, but with a cultural theme. So we had the European one, American. We're gonna have like Oceania. We're gonna have like South America, Africa, so on and so forth. So it's like kind of like trying to cater to different kind of audiences based on their like geographic location. And then I guess the one that Liliana does is more of a the shameless one. Can you tell us more about that one?
So Shameless it's a showcase night. It's got Liliana and Shawnee doing what they do best, just in
Mhm.
terms of stand-up comedy. But they'll also have rotating hosts. So a
Okay.
lot of it is focused on women in comedy. Our first one was
Mhm,
all just a all-female lineup,
mhm, mhm.
and that went fantastically. And then they wanted to do a switch where they had, I think, Oliver and they had a couple other people as well. I can't remember every lineup, unfortunately, right now.
Mhm,
But but they wanted to not just only focus on women in comedy, because there's
mhm.
so many people in comedy. They wanted to kind of spread the love, and it's a
Right.
great show where everyone gets paid. It's ticketed, so it's what we're like trying to move the scene forward
Mhm, mhm.
in Berlin. Um, and but about every other show, every third show is mainly focused on women in comedy,
Mhm.
and the other ones are kind of just the highest level comedian talent you can find doing great
Mhm.
shows.
Mhm. Okay, and so that leaves us with like with Daniel's show, which is I know Daniel Tyrone basically it's lit. I've performed that on a very good show. It's basically you do your set normally in the first half, and then the second half you do under the influence, whether you drink something or smoke something or whatever, and that's what always worked out as being a very good kind of show.
Right. No, that's always been packed as well. I
So
think
for now,
like our worst one of those, we had like a chair that was open.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Like I've seen people just sitting on the floor, I guess,
Mhm.
for some of those.
That's why we had to buy more chairs. And now we have.
Okay, perfect. So it's coming together slowly. And then what about like Sundays? Sundays you take it completely off, yeah?
Sundays right now we take completely off.
Hmm.
When we reopen, we will probably wait a month before opening on Sundays,
Hmm. Just to
just
kind
to get
of
things rolling.
right to see
But
if
we were
it's.
looking at,
Go
if we
ahead.
didn't
Sorry.
have to if we didn't have to close down, then we would be open on Sundays likely right now.
Hmm.
So there's a couple. We want to do some foreign language specials, some German shows, some
Hmm.
Spanish shows possibly,
Hmm.
and then we want to do kind of every other week, kind of a chill like an 8 to 10 2 hour show where it's just
Hmm.
like maybe maybe Ian and Anna doing just like their kind of like low key comedy and things like
Mm.
that.
Right, right, right.
Just so nothing too much. It's like, hey, you went out too much last night. You had too much to drink. Just
Mm.
kind of sit down, relax.
Yeah, Gutierrez used to run this show back last year in winter. It used to be called I think it was brunch comedy. So he used to do it like seven like at 5 p.m. in the
That was
afternoon or something.
it's called Hangover Comedy because
Hangover comedy, yeah.
that was the name I was suggesting, and
Hmm.
I told him about it, and he goes, "Oh, you're gonna steal my name." And
Hmm.
he ran a show like that, so I was like, "No,
Right, right, right.
we're just gonna call it something else." But I mean, it's the same concept.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's about running it. So in terms of like profitability and like cost for the first couple of days, have you figured? You mentioned it was much more. It worked out much better than you expecting it to be for the first couple of months. Yeah.
First couple of months, it worked out better than I expected.
Okay. So.
And if it continues to grow, and I
Hmm.
mean, the whole idea is that the longer we run shows, the longer we're here,
Hmm.
the more people find out about it. They'll tell each other. We'll
Hmm.
get like a larger presence online. People listening to this or watching
Hmm.
this will understand more. Like we'll get to know us more and get to know the hosts better, so
Hmm.
you can follow them individually. Everyone wins, and get better, organically and through ads and things like that.
Hmm.
So right now it was a very, very good first couple steps. We had to take a couple steps back with the Corona situation, but
Hmm.
got to stay safe first before first and
Have you
foremost.
had any requests from audience from like particular drinks or any particular type of things at the bar?
Yeah, and we're adding some Berliner Luft and Jaeger, and it looks like we're gonna add some teas as well,
Hmm.
and some cider beer as well. And
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the main things that we're adding. We're going to be redoing. I'm redoing the menus actually this week, just in
Mm-hmm.
case we're open in 2 weeks, which I don't think we will be because of just how things in Germany are.
Right, right, right.
But until that's until that's ruled out as a possibility, that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm prepared for.
Have you had any?
And
Has there been any situation like this? Has the landlord given you any indication of like maybe like pushing back rent or any like kind of like allowing some of
no,
the costs?
the landlord's a bit strict with that stuff. I'd rather not go into that before. I've had conversations with other people and with the landlord about this
Right, right,
stuff,
right.
and it's not a subject that they are willing to really approach.
Right. Okay. I see. Yeah. I guess every business kind of suffers from this particular aspect. But
Mhm.
I guess looking forward, all we can do is kind of hope for the best and see how we can kind of overcome this Corona situation. I think a lot of comedians all over the world are in the same kind of bucket. People are just kind of like going a bit crazy at home. Not being able to perform and having that little outlet. But I hope we can kind of get back into it in the next couple of weeks, right? And then I think one of the advantages of it has been the opportunity to allow us to kind of focus a bit more on the online presence. And then, like I said, for me,
Yeah.
that's what I've kind of been doing for the past couple of weeks. And hopefully, once everything kind of comes together, we can start putting even more material from the wall and even more do more promotional stuff and start featuring some of those stuff online, right?
Right, and that's one thing I wanted to start doing. Hopefully, I'm sure on the group chat on for the wall, for people running shows at the
Mm-hmm.
wall, you've seen like I've tried to come up with some ideas. I haven't fallen in love with any ideas for
Mm-hmm.
what we want to do, but I'm willing to use the marketing budget that we have for the month that we're not using anything of
Mm-hmm.
to help promote the wall during this time. So if any
Mm-hmm.
comedians have any ideas they want to shoot to me, I'll definitely be willing to listen. And we're
Okay,
going to be
so
open up, whether it's in 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks. We're going to open up again, so we're
mhm.
going to be
Yeah, I was
promoting.
actually thinking we should potentially do some because I think what works really well is doing like that social proof element, right? So I think I've seen a couple of clubs for example, in Paris, they do like a little before and after kind of quick video with the audience member. So before they come to the show, how did you find out about the show, and then they film it right after what they thought once the show was done, right? So maybe that could also help you guys get a bit more material to put online. Helps promote the shows and before and after. So like, hey, welcome to the show. Like you said, like for some of our shows, people are waiting outside from like 7 p.m., right?
Yeah.
um, why did you come to the show? What attracted to you? Did you know about the wall? And so, those kind of things, little videos for promotional, push.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the period when we're closed before we reopen. Is
Hmm.
putting videos online just in terms of the wall, putting them on the wall, Facebook page, and things like that.
Oh yeah, man, I can.
Um,
Like, if you want to share
I'm
it, I'm happy to. Like I said, I've got like 2 videos filmed at the wall that I'm happy to send you over. You can feature them on your Facebook page. And it has it really worked out well. The little graffiti you ended up spraying at the back of the stage.
yeah,
It
yep,
looks really well on the video, and I think I had a lot of people kind of like reach out to me, say like, "Hey, where's this?" Because what I've been doing is I've been putting a lot of the stuff on TikTok,
oh
and
yeah,
the discovery element for it is quite good. So a lot of people are kind of liking it, appreciated. One guy actually said, "Oh, I went and saw a show at the wall," so that was pretty interesting
oh yeah.
uh, to
Sounds
see.
good to hear.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll send you some of those videos. Maybe we can feature those, and it has the background there, and yeah, just kind of keep sharing stuff. I guess that's the way that we can do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, and on a much more like basic level, like this is one of the things that you asked me what I've learned about running the place for a couple weeks
Mhm.
or a couple months is you got to get the graffiti on the outside or on the inside, like what that people see on the videos and things like that. The
Yeah,
wall
right.
looks fantastic. I love how it looks. That
Hmm.
turned out much better than expected. On
Hmm.
the other side, the idea was to have the sign be just the other side of that wall. We just light
Right,
it up a little bit.
right.
That failed.
Okay,
That could not have gone worse.
so you
But as of this coming Friday, we'll have 3 signs outside, so 2 posters and a sign. So that'll be
okay?
up.
Yeah, if you can get that same wall, I mean, you have to get the guy to repaint it, I guess, for that particular backside of
No,
the.
no, it's all done. It's all it's promised to me by this Friday.
Oh,
So
okay, okay, so that should be sorted.
just a new light up sign with 2 posters where we can put just live English comedy every night,
Hmm.
and then the show lineup as well. So
Okay,
have
okay,
all those posters
hopefully,
ready
yeah,
to
man, I'm,
go.
I'm looking forward to kind of start performing again. And hopefully by like I said, by May we get them kick it back in. I guess for now, like I said, the only thing that we can do is kind of. Is there anything like the audience can do to help you out in terms of like spreading the message? Do you already have like a lineup of shows potentially for May onwards, or just the shows that have been recurrent now? They're just gonna come back, right?
Right now, just recurring because we got to figure out what situation we're in still. Like there's still so many questions. Yet again, the online at least, or on the official Berlin kind of websites of everything, all bars and clubs and things like that being shut down.
Mhm.
It's on April 19th we'll reevaluate. It's not everything opens up again on April 20th. It's on April
Right.
19th we'll let you know what's going on.
Right.
And so it looks like we're not going to be open on April 19th, even though that's what I planned on being.
Mhm.
So we'll see. I don't know what to promote until we know like when we're opening again or things like that.
Okay.
So that's kind of the tough parts about it.
All right. Well, in that case, I don't know. I think. Do you want to add anything to the conversation in terms of what we can do, or what else you want to? Any closing remarks for this particular podcast?
For this podcast, I don't know. Yet again, there's so many questions still going on that I'm just trying to make it so that when we do reopen, we have the greatest place that we can have for comedy. And once we know we're going to open, we're going to try and tell people about it as best possible.
Okay.
Any
Well,
ideas for how to help
I mean,
out with that, just send me a message or post it on the Walls website, and I'll be grateful. We can go from there.
Okay, awesome, man. Then we'll try to do another chat in a couple of months. Hopefully, by that time, coronavirus would have kind of cleared up, and we would have had like a super booming comedy summer.
Hopefully so.
And
I do think that people are. Because I know I'm itching to go out. I think you're itching to go out. I think
bro,
everyone's itching. So
I'm this close to like going nuts. Like I went out yesterday for a bit. I think I'm gonna go out for a walk now as well since it's so sunny. But it is getting like pretty. It's starting to like go crazy a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going for a run pretty soon. I'm just amazed. If we didn't have internet, I don't think anyone would be able to like take it.
I feel you, man. Okay, well, glad to hear that things are going well, man. Fingers crossed for the next couple of weeks, and hopefully we can get over this and basically again go hard into comedy for the next couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully so.
All right. Thanks a lot for being on the podcast again, Foster, and catch you next time on the Wall. Guys, come to the Wall Comedy Berlin. Yeah, Facebook, go to Instagram, YouTube. YouTube yet? No YouTube yet.
That's what I want to start. That's what I was hoping to start this week, but I wanted to start it 2 weeks out from when we open again, so that we can just do something. We can do 2 videos a day every day, but there's only so much money I have in the budget, so I can't do it for the whole month.
Facebook, hit it up, and then see you guys on the Wall. Okay.
See you guys there. Yeah.